Following weeks of devastating wildfires, streets have turned into rivers as a storm batters Greece, Turkey, and Bulgaria this week. More of the report from Margareth Parcasio.
High waters have turned streets into rushing rivers as heavy rain and thunderstorms sweep Greece, Turkey, and Bulgaria since the beginning of the week. Rivers that have overflown have also damaged bridges, while Storm Daniel triggered landslide in some areas. Due to this, reports say at least 14 people have died in the three said countries, and several remain missing. On Wednesday, a group of residents struggled to cross a street amid flash floods, hitting the Greek capital city of Athens. Footage shows three residents holding each other by hand as they cross the street surrounded by water. It is estimated that the equivalent of an entire autumn of rain fell in 24 hours northwest of Athens, causing the flooding. In recent weeks, Greece has been struggling with historic wildfires, including one which scored more than 81,000 hectares or 200,000 acres of land near Evros, in what was the biggest wildfire ever in the European Union. Currently, more rain is expected in the area, leading to concerns of even worse flooding. Meanwhile, search and rescue efforts are still underway. Reporting, this is Margareth Parcasio, SMNI News.
The United Kingdom's second largest city has declared bankruptcy, prompting the cessation of all new spending except for essential services like protecting their vulnerable residents. Jane Cognita files this report.
Birmingham, the UK's second largest city, has plunged into financial turmoil after its city council announced its bankruptcy due to an equal pay settlement bill potentially reaching £760 million or $956 million. The crisis, rooted in a 2012 Supreme Court ruling favoring predominantly female council employees, has forced the city to cease all non-essential spending. The equal pay settlement is estimated to be between £650 million and £760 million, or $816 to $956 million, with monthly liabilities increasing at a rate of £5 million to £14 million, or $6.3 million to $17.5 million. The Birmingham City Council conceded that it lacks the resources to cover this outstanding sum, prompting the imposition of strict spending controls. This means that all new spending, except for support to vulnerable individuals and statutory services, will be halted. Deputy Council Leader Sharon Thompson acknowledged long-standing issues, including the equal pay liability, and cited £1 billion or $1.25 billion reduction in funding by successive Conservative governments as a contributing factor. Austerity measures may affect non-mandatory services like libraries, cultural projects, and infrastructure maintenance, raising concerns about the fate of the 2026 European Athletics Championships scheduled at Birmingham's Alexander Stadium. Meanwhile, the UK Prime Minister's office emphasized local councils' responsibility for managing budgets. Downing Street expressed concerns about governance arrangements and requested assurances from the council regarding taxpayer money's reasonable use. Local media estimate that at least 20 government bodies in the UK may go bankrupt over the next 2 years amidst a broader ongoing funding crisis. Reporting, this has been Jane Cognita, SMNI News.
Aside from the U.S. Department of State's additional $1 billion worth of assistance to Ukraine, Washington will provide another package following the Pentagon's announcement that it will send the controversial depleted uranium tank ammunition for the war-torn country. Carlo de la Peña has the details.
120mm rounds of depleted uranium tank ammunition will be given to Ukraine by the United States as part of a $175 million aid package to help Kyiv fight Russian forces. The Pentagon stated that these rounds would be for the M1 Abrams tanks that Washington provided to Kyiv. Furthermore, the uranium's density is said to be 1.7 times that of lead. This ammunition is controversial, however, as depleted uranium has generally been associated with grave health hazards. And while depleted uranium is factually radioactive, although it's not as much compared to natural uranium, a political report citing U.S. officials said that depleted uranium is not a radioactive threat. citing studies published by the UN's nuclear watchdog, the International Atomic Energy Agency, or IAEA, saying that the existence of depleted uranium residues dispersed in the environment does not pose a radiological hazard to the population of the affected regions. The IAEA also says there could be a risk of radiation to humans who handle fragments of depleted uranium rounds. The International Coalition to Ban Uranium Weapons said that such weapons pose dangerous health risk, like cancer, from touching or ingesting depleted uranium dust. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency also stated that depleted uranium is dangerous when it is inside a human body. Another research also reported that depleted uranium causes cancer and birth defects in places like Serbia and Iraq, where such ammunition was used. But it's not only the United States that has decided to provide these controversial ammunitions to Kyiv. The United Kingdom has already sent a shipment of such rounds to Kyiv earlier in 2023, which were intended for use with its Challenger 2 tanks. The UK Defense Ministry said it has used depleted uranium in its armor-piercing shells for decades. On the other hand, the United Nations has condemned the use of depleted uranium, just like how it condemned Washington for sending cluster munitions to Kyiv in July. Despite criticism and condemnation, the Pentagon said it is confident that the Ukrainian military will use depleted uranium ammunition responsibly, similar to how the military agency expressed confidence over Ukraine's use of another forbidden weapon of war, cluster munitions. This is despite reports last May about burnt-out American vehicles in which Ukrainian militants reportedly attacked Russia's Belgorod. To recall, the Pentagon, along with the U.S. State Department, doubted the authenticity of the images regarding the matter. Reporting, this has been Carlo de la Peña, SMNI News.
The president of South Korea is urging countries to stop their military cooperation with Pyongyang. This comes amid the alarming increase in tensions in the Korean peninsula and after North Korean leader Kim Jong-un accused Seoul and its allies of conducting a rehearsal to invade his country through conducting military drills. Salayun files this report.
South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol called for a strong response against North Korea, saying that any attempt to cooperate with Pyongyang when it comes to military affairs must stop. Yoon made the comment at a summit meeting with bloc countries members of ASEAN in Jakarta, Indonesia this week. The office of the South Korean president did not explain that statement, but it was made following the alleged arms negotiations between North Korea and Russia, which both countries lied about. Recently, the United States announced that South Korean Kim Jong-un plans to visit Russia to meet President Vladimir Putin. To this, the Kremlin replied that they have nothing to say regarding reports about the two leaders. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu first announced North Korea and Russia's plan to conduct joint military exercises. In the meeting with ASEAN leaders together with Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida and China's Premier Li Qiang, President Yoon said he is ready to become closer to the two Asian countries so that their relations will be better with each other. The annual summit between the three countries has not been held since 2019 due to tensions, especially due to the history of Japan's accomplishments during World War II. Seoul is Bugasela Unimnida SMNI News, South Korea.